computer. Shut up, computer.
The episode. Shut up, computer.
Yeah, right. I'm becoming William myself. I'm getting all shady at the technology and stuff like that.
Did y'all watch Young Justice?
No.
I was gonna make a computer joke.
Okay.
You have to watch it to understand. Well, you know when like they walk into the Hall of Justice and the computer is like recognize B4.
Sure. Right.
I was gonna say recognize Sean tank top.
That tracks. I can get down with that. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Sean Tank Top, and we are over here at the House Burlington channel. We're in Costa Tank Top over here. We got ourselves the Draces to my. Where are you? To my right over there. Say hi, Draces.
Hi.
What's up, y'all? How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Hell yeah, right on. Well, and then also, so just as a shout out to everybody who's joining us on the stream and stuff like that, we've done a lot of we've done all of these with Kyle from Missouri Hype, the lovely, the dear, the sponge of information that is Kyle from Missouri Hype, but he's feeling a little under the weather, said that he couldn't make it. And so we needed another sponge of information and nerd culture and just like an encyclopedia of just like all things that I find cool. And also just a dear friend. We know her from Con of Thrones. That's kind of like where that's where I first met you. But we've been friends for a long time and we're absolutely thrilled to have her. It's Maddie K, everybody. Thank y'all so much. How you doing, hon?
Oh, I'm having a blast now that I have a standard pour of wine.
There you go.
Love it.
Standard pour. Do you think that they'll be in like, maybe like once we're through all this bullshit, they'll have like a regular pour and then they'll have like a pandemic pour of wine.
Oh, that's for sure. like those of us in the service industry know like a standard pour is not a full glass. Everybody's gonna be like, this isn't anything like what I'm used to.
No, yeah. Once you give me some of that pandemic action you got over there, buddy. You know what I mean?
Like I've been my own bartender, and the bartender I've been dealing with has a real heavy arm.
Yeah, heavy hand. Yeah, definitely.
I sent you a post-corona menu coming.
There we go. Oh my god, the off-Rona recipes or whatever it is. Yeah, I think that could totally be a thing. But anyway, you guys know why we're here. We're over here. We're talking about that little show called WestWorld, season 3, episode 7. I believe the name is called Past Pawn, right?
Yeah.
Is the name of the episode. It's like, making some chess references and stuff like that and everything, and that's kind of, and there was like definitely, I think that's pretty apropos insofar as that there are a lot of positioning and attacks like basically happening throughout pretty much the entirety of this episode for sure.
I think that the title of this makes a little more sense now that we've had some of the, because we were like kind of like, is Caleb Serac's brother secretly? But that wouldn't make sense for a past pawn because his brother used to be a leader. So it's like, no, he has to be somebody who was used as a tool their whole life to now become a leader. So now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Caleb's a past pawn. So
Nichols, my boy.
He can be queen, but he can't be king.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm with that for sure. Well, no, that was another because that was a big thing that we were kind of speculating when we were on Kyle's channel, and then we'll talk, and then first off, we'll get into that. But first off, we'll just talk about like how did we like the episode, Maddie? How'd you like this last episode?
I really liked it. I liked it more than some of the other episodes that I've seen this season. However, the way I described it was I was like I really enjoyed it despite having no idea what was happening about 80% of the episode.
I'm right there with you.
It was just such a big exposition dump. My brain had to like catch up, and I didn't think very quickly anyway. So I was like, wait, but what?
Sure.
We used to just stop. But what is different? And like that was what I was doing. But I was having a blast doing it, so I'm like okay with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't. Totally. I'll like give a lot of leeway to this show if it's entertaining, while it's like, okay, this is gonna need me to go to like on like Vulture and like Insider and like read all the explainers. Like in my head, I'm like, okay, which websites do I gotta go to?
Yeah.
Like, what? But it's like if it's fun, I'm like still. It's why I'm still watching. Is because I'm like, well, it's still fun to watch.
Like kind of sort of at this point, if you're like at the end of season 3, you've kind of like signed up for the bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, so you kind of go in like, I understand, you know, people who really, really, really were impressed by season 1 and maybe even season 2 who like really want this show to be like a masterpiece. And I'm with those people. Like when this show is masterpiece level, it is masterpiece level. Kiksuya, anyone?
Yeah.
But like, but like also I'm here for like the weird campy nonsense, like also as much as possible.
Yeah.
So like when things are like, I don't know about this, I'm just like, yeah, give me more. I have no idea what's going on, and I love it.
I definitely think there's an element of the show occasionally because it has a lot to chew on. I mean, because like they have, you know, the screenwriters and just like the showrunners and the general architects, like we've been saying they have like a big like It's Always Sunny like yarn board, like yarn wall, like basically being like, this is the main plan, you know? Yeah, exactly, Carol, like, you know, like, but and they have like, and they do a very good job of that, and it usually always checks out. It's just like, but there are other parts of the show, like the show isn't without its like kind of like dumbass moments. Like it has them. I think there's a couple of them. There's a couple of them in this episode, and we'll get to them for sure. But like definitely like this, if you can you can do that whole like kind of like blind me with bullshit type of thing. Like where if you just hit me with like because sometimes I'll just kind of like be scratching my head where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Oh my god, like lady fight, like whatever, and then it's cool. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
And there's a little bit of that going on this episode. I mean, it even kind of starts that way, and it's probably, I would say, was this your favorite cold open? I think it was my favorite cold open when we open up with Mushi Loris, and he's hanging out in Japan, and he's like, and they're you know, like he gets a call from Char Loris, who like apparently has like healed, right?
No, I think she has that machine.
Did she hit herself?
I'm pretty sure, because remember when Dolores was fixing her in the hotel room?
She's got the spray or whatever.
Yeah. Or it's like the thing. Yeah, I think that she probably left it behind being like, oh, you like cut your arms a lot, so if you do the self-harm, it's okay, just fix yourself.
There you go.
Because you're going to blow our cover.
Yeah.
So, if I was Dolores Prime, I would leave her with like a little skin fixie.
Sure. And also, we don't know if she's in league with Serac or not. Like, she could have been like, hey, Serac, I'm no longer Team Dolores. Like, let me help you. You know, I have nothing left to lose. You already killed my family. So, and here you go. We don't know. We just don't have enough information.
That's true. I mean,
yeah.
I
am kind of on the, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was going on the theory because like once, Char Loris is like helping out Clement. She was helping out Serac.
Yeah.
And May.
I'm thinking that because she is sort of partly Dolores, even though they don't really know what each other are doing, I think she probably is working under the assumption that Dolores killed her family. I would think.
Maybe, yeah.
But she saw the guy in the come out of the garden gate or whatever.
Is that the rock guy?
Yeah, that was the Serac guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, again, I'm like, I don't know. Like, why would she help out Serac when like that was like the love of her? Like she had like
the enemy of my enemy, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And also the other thing is I think that Char Loris is just going, yo, Char Loris against everybody. Fuck the fucking world. You know what I mean? Like I think that she's like, she's pissed at Serac. I mean, you know, because she was, you know, Charlotte Hale before she was, you know, assimilated and taken over by Dolores. She basically, you know, she was in league with Serac only because was where she was positioned at, like the person that she was inhabiting was in that time, you know.
Right.
But, exactly. But and then she's feigning helping him, but now she just was kind of pushed into this precarious position where she was essentially on a suicide mission. Like, certainly given how dangerous and calculating Serac can be, like it was absolutely, Dolores, there wasn't a scenario, there were very few scenarios where Dolores was like, oh yeah, no, you're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like there's like, you know what I mean? Like that wasn't really in the cards. And so she kind of was like, okay with, like maybe just wasn't counting on like, the elements of like her copies actually kind of assimilating and kind of becoming their own being and their own entity and stuff like that, which is like one of the most interesting sci-fi elements of this show, of this season by far.
I don't think Dolores Prime felt that she was going to make it out alive. So I think she was already resigned to die.
Yeah.
So, so for her to be willing to sacrifice the other Dolores copies, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, well, no, it makes sense, but it's like inconsiderate. It's like when you have that friend, and I'm occasionally this guy, like where like I'll be like, hey, can I try that? And I'll already be taking it off of their plate. When it's like you shouldn't do that. Like just because I would be comfortable with somebody doing that, like yeah, go ahead, take a drink of my drink or do whatever it is.
Counterpoint.
What's that?
What if you're doing that to your clone?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, but again, that's
I'll smack my clone. I'll be like, no.
No, because your clone should know better. Your clone, like my clone, would know that. No, I want it. So
yeah.
So back the fuck off.
Fair enough.
It took me forever to like figure out how to get you to share sushi. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's how you order. Like you and your roommate would go get sushi. 2 separate orders and they wouldn't touch each other's orders. And I'm like, no, sushi, you order a bunch and we all eat it.
Yeah.
Hey, you got better. You got better. Now we share it.
No, I just order more.
There you go.
so that she doesn't take mine. I don't like sharing. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I was an only child for like the first 15 years of my life. I don't want to share. It's mine.
There you go.
Get out of here.
Little D over here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Buddy.
But one thing that I was going to say was that it was for sure. I think that it was something. I think that Charlotte being on board, or not Charlotte, Dolores, kind of being like, yeah, we're just gonna we're all gonna go in. It's gonna be a suicide mission, but we're gonna take down this thing and we're gonna create ourselves a little world for our own kind, or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna be Dolores Robot Jesus, and I'm gonna fucking sacrifice myself for a better world, and it's gonna be great, and blah blah blah. But she wasn't counting on the fact that they would develop like their own personality, kind of like their own sentience, their own identity during the time that they were inside of their new bodies and stuff like that. And I think that's the conundrum that we've kind of been given with this part. But I was also when I saw how well Charlotte had healed, I was just like, did IG-11 from The Mandalorian come over and spray her with some Bacta spray?
I hope not. I hope not, because do you know how terrifying that team up would be?
Oh my God, dude, Charloris and IG-11 like on a speeder with Baby Yoda fucking shit up.
throw in K2SO in there and you're done. You're done. The world is over.
Revolution over.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. Also, I would like to take this moment to say, like, in regards to the whole, conceit of like the robot versus human apocalypse, like I want everyone to know, like, the second that shit starts, I'm looking to join the robot army. Like I'm done. I'm sold out. I'm already done. Like, make me an awesome robot. Like I don't care. I'm there.
Because if the robot is like a monster or like a rapist or something, it's because a human designed them to be that way. So really, there are no bad robots.
It's all robots. Only bad programmers.
Right?
So no, I'm like joining.
Robots don't kill people. Programmers kill people.
True. And so if the robots can like get free of our monstrosity of the humanity, I'm like, I'm on board.
Okay. Here, 1 second.
Retweet,
right? Yeah. Oh my God.
Tweet.
Yeah. No. Okay. So that happens, and then we get this really cool scene. We get Clementine. Clementine comes back, which I thought was like.
I was happy to see Clementine. I was like, Clem, and you're in a sort of dead-eyed murder mode.
Yeah.
I did not appreciate the Dolores in Musaki kind of subtly sex worker shaming her.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
That was like, I'm like, why would Dolores like that? I'm like, that seems like something like a shitty dude would say. And
I think that's some of my problem with Dolores' characterization in that she reaches for those low branches, you know?
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. I
don't think she would.
Yeah, she would.
Everything we know about that character.
Blame the programmer. I'm telling you.
Well, you want to know something else? You want to know what something else that might have also gotten mixed up with like a little, like maybe that's like kind of like a shade of like Musashi.
Like
in
the
there.
Dolores.
You know what I mean? Like that could have been a little, because the thing is, it's like, you know, it's like Power Rangers. It's like they're a different shade. There's a different flavor and a different dinosaur for everyone, even though they're it's the basic same suit, you know. Unless you're that fucking weird ass Green Ranger who got like a golden thing for some reason or whatever. No, so then
that's a different podcast, man.
Yeah, so that was like but that was a cool fucking opening scene. Like she oh god damn it, what's the character's name? The dragon
Hanario.
The dragon.
I was just calling because, like, I know it took me forever to even just learn Armistice's name. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, Shogun World's Armistice counterpoint.
Yeah, right.
I don't. Hanario.
They'll tell us in the comments.
They'll tell us in the
comments. Hanario.
Hanario. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I made a point to like look it up beforehand too, because I was like, I wanted to make sure I was right.
Right, totally. But she fucking stabs him in there, and basically like Harry carries this guy like completely.
I did like the.
She fucking can openers the guy in half or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that shit was great. I mean, like
a good move.
It was a really, really cool.
And she took his head so they couldn't recover the pearl.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my girl's thinking in the year 3000.
I like that.
Yeah.
Definitely. No, I thought it was I thought it was a really, really cool, really fucking fun opening scene. And then kind of like from there, we sort of like we're out in the plains. It's horsey time with fucking Caleb and Dolores and stuff like that. And it's horsey time. They're on horses. I mean, like,
where did they get horses? Aren't horses extinct?
Are they? I don't. I think it was honestly. It was a stylistic flourish to her.
The fake out because they showed that shot of Teddy and Dolores in season 2 in all the trailers, and then that shot of Caleb. So they were like, "Are they going back to WestWorld?"
Right.
No. So I think they used the horses number one, because I guess if Dolores was like, I'm going to print this body and this body and this body and this body and this body, I guess she could have been like, and just throw in as many horses too. Unless we got
robot horses.
Unless
we got robot horses.
Could have been using robot like horses in like out of WestWorld. Like WestWorld, if I was WestWorld and I had a product, like I could print you a realistic seeming horse, and it's not like a host, so it can't actually like, overthrow you or anything. Like it's just a robot. I'm like, oh, there would be a big market for people who are like, horses don't exist anymore. I'm gonna buy all the robot horses and ride around like I'm a cowboy.
Which is why D&D sold off the dragon, of course.
Well, I
feel about that.
I'm paying all the money to go to whatever amusement park that ends up at, and I'm going to ride Drogon.
They're Star Wars.
I just want to be one of the loot players. I just want to dress up as a loot player and walk around and like sing songs at people and make them think I'm a host.
Totally.
Until they realize that I'm not. Yeah.
So I mean, like a robot horse would be good because they're not laying like those giant horse shits or whatever it is, and you don't got to worry about that either. Like you like
could do.
It's all the upsides up. You don't have to give them a trough or anything like that. You don't got to break them. You just hop on the back and you take off like apparently these two did. You know.
Also, like in Chicago, we have really, really, really sad horse-drawn carriages, like most major cities have, and they're very depressing. Like
here.
It's like very the people who take care of them are not the greatest people, and they do not have very good lives. So if I found out it was a robot horse, I'd be like, oh, all of a sudden the horse driven carriage industry isn't problematic anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and also the other thing I forgot, there was like, and I'm not like a big like technocrat, like gun guy type thing or whatever it is, but there were some fucking cool gun like reveals in this thing. Two of which one that leaves the Musashi what was it? The suitcase reveal. RuPaul was fucking like was gagging at the
on his fracking farm somewhere.
Gagged all over that fracking farm.
They were riding. I think they were riding on the fracking farm, like in that one scene when they're on the horses. But that was really cool. And then they're riding through, and like we kind of for the first time we sort of get like Caleb has been on this fucking wild weekend with this gal Dolores, like for like the last like I don't know, what has it been, like 2-3 days or something like that? It seems like it's been a pretty small window maybe up until now, but he's like kind of starts to have some second thoughts for like the first time. You know what I mean? Where he just like, wait a minute, like you killed like all of those people in Westworld, didn't you? Like, and he kind of starts. They play a little bit of lip service to buyer's remorse, but like then she's like, no, it's cool, it's fine, let's go.
I'm real sad. I'm like real sad that reveal happened when he was high as shit on genre, because we didn't get to see him process that. Like it just like happened in between episodes, and I thought that was going to be like a big thing of the season. Like, this dude hates robots. What's he going to do when he finds out Dolores is a robot? And apparently he's fine with it.
Yeah. That's
like,
true.
So I don't know.
He liked his coworker.
That's true.
He did like that, like robot coworker.
So
guy.
he has a history of befriending. He's like, you're one of the good ones. He's like, I'm a racist, but like, he's like, yeah, but I work with a guy. He's one of the good ones.
He's one of the good ones. Yeah, he's okay.
So now he has a token robot girlfriend.
There you go.
Okay.
Oh my god!
I can't be anti-robot. I'm literally dating a robot.
I love robots. Look, I'm dating a robot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, right. I can't be robot racist. I'm in love with a robot. Right? Exactly.
Oh my god! Amazing.
That's pretty good. No,
would it be machinist?
What's that?
Machinist.
Right.
Well, they did it. They slipped in the whole thing because I'm like, oh, I think Battlestar Galactica does exist. The DVD, there's like a DVD set that exists in this world because Man in Black was like, instead of
calling them toasters,
he called them a microwave.
I think he called them a can opener.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you just stole that from Battlestar.
So speaking of which, like,
always a kitchen appliance.
Totally, yes, right. And like, so, well, that was the other thing. So here, let's talk about this because it's really interesting because we've been watching William, the Man in Black, Ed Harris. He's been going on this kind of journey, like he's been going on supposedly a journey of self-discovery of sorts and stuff like that. I think that, and Ed Harris it's been a really interesting way that we have been we've been experiencing this thing through his story. We've seen him be kind of vulnerable in a way that we've never seen him be before in the show, really. And so, but then, like, kind of when they bust him out, when these two robots rescue him, he just kind of starts to revert back to the old. Like, he may have accepted the fact that he killed his daughter and kind of accepted the fact of a bunch of things about his life, but he's still just a fucking prick.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like not to say that was like not ever going to happen, but it was very flagrant in a way where he's like openly talking shit to Stubbs and Bernard and stuff like that, and just being like just outwardly hostile. Like, even when they confront him, like when they find out that he sold the information and the data to Serac to make this whole thing that's taken the world down, he abdicates no responsibility. Like, he's like, yeah, whatever. I sold some fucking data that's taken down the entire world. What of it? Like, he's not being self-reflexive about anything other than the death of his daughter. That was a little frustrating to me, because I kind of thought that we were going to have had like maybe a touch of like a humbled type of a take on William. I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
I kind of thought we were done with William. So the fact that he came back, I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. And I don't mind that he like immediately reverted back, because he literally just had that, breakthrough before all of this happened. So he didn't have time to get it to stick. And exactly. And in that moment of like stress and crisis, when he's like, oh my God, what is happening? The world is ending. He just immediately went back to what he knows. So because his is like a story of like basically like narcissism and addiction, and that will happen. But, I don't think that they like, I don't know. I guess I'll see what happens in the finale. I don't know. I feel like Ed Harris's general attitude about the show is I don't know what I was playing this season. So I'm like, that's sort of coloring like how I'm reading his plot.
Sure.
But I'm having a little trouble following it in terms of like writer decisions of like where the arc is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought I had a handle with like the group therapy thing. I'm like, okay, I kind of get his deal now. But then when he is on the Stubbs Bernard, gas station mission, I'm just like, oh, he's just acting like he was in WestWorld, like all over again.
I mean, like, no, hold on.
One.
We're gonna put this up, like, we're just talking about like this, really, like William was getting somewhere, but the sheer right. I mean, like, there was just like pissy, just fucking like acting like this shit never acting like you weren't taken off the board by these things, like you weren't bested in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
like
also, he thinks that he's like part of this big revenge scheme by Dolores, and it's like he's a big player. And then
narcissistic.
He's just using his DNA to like figure out like
you're just a tracker. Yeah,
I actually love that part of it.
I do too. I agree.
So I was like really into that. I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, you don't actually matter. I was just using your blood to find the thing that actually matters. Like, you don't matter. The thing that matters.
No. Torturing you and making your brain fold in on itself is just a plus.
It's
just, you know what I mean? It's literally like a stylistic flourish in my thesis that I'm writing right now. I'm gonna throw this up there, and one of our best commenters over here. Do you think? Oh wait, hold on one second. I'm gonna take this one down. We put this one back up. Do you think we should just talk about that? Because that was, to me, that was when we jumped on the WestWorld Express to Dumbass Town.
Yeah.
And that was the only time where I was like really frustrated with the episode, I think.
Well, I'll say this. Are you frustrated by Stubbs not following William?
Yeah. Oh, are you? Is Aunt maybe? Yeah. I mean, like, why did they? I think it's like, why did they just like? Yeah. Even though you've literally to our face said that I'm gonna kill both of you, and we're just gonna let him go into a derelict gas station unattended. I mean, even if he didn't find like a shotgun.
Counterpoint.
What's that?
Counterpoint. What's a shotgun gonna do to them? It's not like he can just shoot them and they'll die. Like they're robots.
True.
He could shoot off their arms and then take their pearls and crush it.
You're right. I don't think that he's thought that hard.
But I'm like, Stubbs, you are literally designed to be a head of security. You have all the info.
Counterpoint. I'm sorry,
He's not
guys.
very good at the job.
I do love that we're getting like a courtroom like kind of like, well, if it pleases the court, Miss Drace, I would like to object to your counterpoint.
So counterpoint.
Okay.
I don't trust Stubbs this season at all whatsoever.
Interesting.
We know that there's still another mole in like Serac still has another mole, and like the only person I think it could be is Stubbs.
Ooh.
So maybe he's like trying to sabotage Bernard. Like
that. I mean, that would make sense.
It would also make him actually useful this season because pretty much he's just the butt of every joke.
But he's my favorite Hemsworth. All he does is tweet about how much he loves Vegemite and hates Trump. I love him.
He is. He seems like. I mean, not that all the Hemsworths don't seem chill, because they all do seem very chill. Like they seem like.
I don't know. Liam seems like he's a little bit of a dick.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's my least favorite Hemsworth.
I mean, yeah. Definitely fair.
Me and Amelia have, like, ever since the show started, we've literally from the jump, we've always been calling him Other Hemsworth because I can't remember his name.
Larry Hemsworth. Larry Hemsworth is actually my third favorite. He's the Hemsworth brother that's on The Good Place.
Oh,
the fake one.
Yeah,
there's like a fake. Yeah, there's like a fake Hemsworth brother on The Good Place, and his name is Larry Hemsworth, and he's like, everyone forgets me. I'm the fourth Hemsworth. So Larry is actually my third favorite Hemsworth, and then Liam is my fourth favorite Hemsworth.
What the fuck is going on? Are these guys like the Baldwin brothers? They just keep fucking popping up. Like
the fear.
It's like a cigarette in a soft pack of fucking. It's like cigarettes in like a soft pack. There's always one more. Every time you can figure out, there's always one more.
I will tell you this: I would much rather go to Christmas at the Hemsworth house than Christmas at the Baldwin house.
Oh my god,
that sounds like a terrible time.
Are you kidding me?
my god!
Like even like Alec Baldwin is the good one, and he's still a flaming asshole.
There's a blameless Baldwin. It's the Baldwin brother who is always on the Tim and Eric. Not Tim and Eric.
William.
Yeah, I forget what his name is, but he's on the car. He's like on Cinema at the Cinema.
The guy that was in. I think you're talking about the guy that was in Backdraft and the guy that was in the Squid and the Whale. I think that's who you're talking about. I
don't know, but like he's like. I think he's a Baldwin.
Welcome to the Hemsworth Baldwin podcast over here.
It just made me think because in WestWorld they did do a little stop off in Victorville, California.
There you go.
And any on Cinema at the Cinema heads know that's where the archives are. So
yeah.
So when
I saw Victorville, California, I'm like screamed. I'm like, go to the archives.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's amazing.
So in regards to like there's all of that type of like all these other things that are kind of like at play, and kind of when they were riding up onto before they get to that cool fucking drone sequence.
So good.
Which I really liked a lot. Like all of the action flourishes in this episode I thought were fucking rad. Like
big fame.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the wet blanket of this and say that the only part of this episode that I liked were the action flourishes.
Sure.
All of the exposition and even all of the dialogue just felt really like all the Caleb stuff fell so flat for me. Like, I really was super disappointed after being hyped on it. Like I can
see that.
Go the brother.
But I just wanted it to be something. I just didn't want to. Let's talk about the dad, and you killed this guy that we don't really care that you killed your partner, your friend Francis. Nobody cares.
Well, let's talk. Right. Let's talk about that. So, like, because first off, like, we'll backtrack just a touch where Dolores kind of like one of our commenters in here. I'm failing to remember, but they basically said that Dolores was going to kind of champion Caleb as like this reverse John Connor, like this, you know what I mean? Like this human, like this human leader of a revolution for a better world for machines, which is an interesting concept, and I'm not necessarily against it. What do we think of that? How do we like it? But I will say, I'm glad that Dolores didn't die, and then we just have Aaron Paul, like she's still in the mix. You know what I mean? She's still at play, because I think that if she would have died, and then like it's the Aaron Paul.
I would have been out.
Show. Yeah,
that would have been fucking stupid. But like, so what do we think about that idea now that we know that it's kind of certainly a thing that she has in mind for the design of her plan?
What do you
think about that?
I think they like walked the good line, because it at first I'm like, oh, if she like takes herself out of the game and then it's like, Aaron Paul show, that kind of sucks. It's like it's Dolores's whole deal. Like, why does he get to do? But if you think about it, oh no, she's just letting her guy do the dirty work. She's gonna take a nap and then let him lead the revolution, do all the shit, and then he'll wake her up, and then he'll be like, hey, I cleared the chessboard, so you and your friends, like, build your WestWorld IRL.
Sure.
I don't know. So I'm like a lot better with him taking the lead. If it's like, oh, he's doing the shit and she can just take it easy because she's already had a hard life. Like, let her have a nap.
She's a little bit, she's got like a little bit of a Jon Snow or kind of Daenerys type thing where it's like, man, y'all just need a fucking weekend. Y'all been grinding for like fucking 4 or 5 years. I mean, like, you guys just need, like, it's like that Hunter S. Thompson. Like, if I go to sleep now, I'm out for 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking hitting the sack.
I just want to say real quick, it has nothing to do with anything, but it reminded me of the Dolores to Daenerys comparison, which is that when WestWorld, aired, I was talking to my friend Britt, who you may know, Salsa Stark, and we were talking about how, like, damn, like HBO really just loves their problematic blondes, because it was like Sharp Objects 2. And so now we have like a whole thing of like anytime Dolores does some shit and we're just like, those problematic blondes, like have them. But
badass blondes is kind of their thing for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. I mean, like, I'm not against it. Like, I definitely don't want him to take over I don't want a Caleb turducken inside of Dolores's quest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it to kind of remain her story. It's always been her story. It's if anything, the show has been a big character study of like her
and Maeve and Bernard.
And Maeve and Bernard and William, kind of in a way. I mean, like we've gotten to some character study with him, except for it kind of seemed to count for nilch. You know what I mean? Like at least as far as the trajectory of it.
Actually, that's a really good point you bring up, Maddie. Where like the show was so Bernard heavy in season 1, and that reveal of the Bernard and Arnold thing was really. That was a big twist.
That was a mind blow. I remember where I was when I figured that out.
And that was really, really cool. This season, Bernard is such an afterthought. He started
out strong in the first episode. Like you're like, okay, you're setting up, like what is happening, and then he just kind of took a back seat, and I'm really sad about it. So I'm hoping he pulls out strong at the end of this series.
So. I agree. That's kind of what I was coming to. Is like I hope they do something with him, and maybe you're onto something with maybe Stubbs being part of that somehow. I mean, otherwise, why are they even there? Are they just there just because they're like, well, we've got these characters and people want to see them?
Well, I think the large problem, now that we've seen 7 out of 8 episodes, I think that I really like this season. However, structurally, I do have an issue with it, and that issue is that like the inter-episode pacing is like not what I desire. Like I'll probably when this series finishes, I'll probably like rewatch it again and take a look and be like, I would put this plot line here. I would put this plot line here. I would I think that overall it's going to have a strong arc. But separating that into episodes, I think they kind of struggled with that this season, and you can kind of really tell. So.
Yeah, well, here I'm just gonna throw this up. It's kind of emblematic of that whole plot lines problems right there.
Other guy,
other Hemsworth.
His name is Ashley Stubbs.
You have like an inkling that. They're there because Dolores desires it, and they're doing something, even though it seems like
they're a cog in her design.
It seems like they're working against her, but that they're there because she willed it.
They're exactly where she wants them to be.
Yeah. So I'm like, they are. If they don't, they better it better pay off in the end, because otherwise I'm gonna be like,
Well, I think it basically where they've kind of written themselves in regards to Bernard and and just where he lies within the story and stuff like that. It's gonna be like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's gonna be like, wait a minute, where's all this going? And then it kind of just wraps it up at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then somebody's got a flamethrower, and it's the
oh
whole
my
fucking
god,
thing,
absolutely. That's what we got. We got suitcase guns, we got drone guns. Like we got to get some flamethrower guns in here, some drone flamethrower sniper rifles. That's what I want in the next episode.
All of the gun stuff. So like, I'm not a gun person. I've never been a gun person.
It was
However, all of the gun stuff in this episode was so effing cool. Oh my god. And I don't know if that's because like I love the games where you can like pick your like sort of fight style. I always go for the snipers. I'm always the one that's like sitting there and I'm like mark, shoot. And so watching that happen like in one of my favorite shows was just so cool.
It was rad, and that little reconnaissance drone was a cute little fella. What did he like when he popped up?
If I had one of those, I would put little googly eyes on it, so that when people power like googly eyes shaking.
Oh my god!
That'd be like a pretty interesting little like piece of flair on like what is essentially like the person's like last moments. Like they look up and they see a little googly eyed guy, and then the fucking
a lot better
than
the traditional like gamer tea bag. It's like
like the spray. Yeah.
No, it was. Well, that's another thing we got to talk about. Well, that's another thing that I was thinking about the other day. Big fucking MVP of this episode was that fucking drone pilot who was just getting, because it was just drone crazy. Like there was so much stuff. Like when I was watching,
drone crazy.
Absolutely, but I remember that was like even in the behind the scenes. You could tell there was like the director. I can't remember who was the director was, but she was talking to like the the drone pilot and the guy who's like handling this giant camera and stuff like that, but he's going crazy with this thing, and she was just like, and you can tell that it's something that she absolutely knew nothing about. You know what I mean? She was like in her 50s or 60s, like some like older boomer female director, but she was like, yeah, so like just do that. If you could do that, that would be great. Like whatever. Like I don't know what you kids are doing with these drones, like or whatever it was. It was really cute. Like it was. Really fun.
Say though, shout out to this season because the whole back half is directed by women.
Yeah, and also
they've absolutely had that for sure.
Particular one, like this director, because we loved like the action sequences so much, and like even just like all the fighting, I'm like, hi Marvel, you have a problem with not hiring female directors. Hi, did you see this episode?
Exactly.
Can we get her? Can we get her? Is she available?
Yeah, or like you. Shit like the even like the director of like Wonder Woman or Catherine Bigelow, or even the director of shit. What was the oh fuck? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. But I mean like there's
Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow. Yes. Yeah,
I always like when I find a director I'm not familiar with who I'm like, oh, she's strong in action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why haven't we gotten her in the game before? Who's this lady? Oh. Who is she?
So
what's her name?
Jennifer Getzinger. She also did Outlander and
I like
Mad
Outlander
Men.
a little.
Me
bit.
too. I love Outlander.
Right on.
It's a guilty pleasure. I didn't
so
love the like they got to America and the slavery shit.
That was really hard to read and really hard to watch, so I understand.
It's a little rough.
This season is a little bit better because it's got Aragon in it.
I'm gonna have to buy it.
Yeah,
I lost my subscription, but
yeah. So there we go. Not
welcome to Outlander talk.
Not over the stream talk. Not just your login. All of a sudden, like wait a minute, like I got like 65 people on this fucking account.
Let's get Jennifer in more action movies.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
So another thing that I like, so that kind of sets the stage. They get inside and they start talking to Solomon, which is
my boy.
Yeah, like Rehoboam if you hit the insanity tab or something like that.
Was that Jonah Nolan's voice? I feel like I read somewhere that was Jonah Nolan's voice.
I wouldn't be. I mean, like it could have been. I didn't check.
I'm going to Google it.
Okay, we're gonna GTS that shit. For sure.
That Googles.
Yeah, that goes. But what did you guys think about the concept of Solomon within the way that it was mirrored the brother in a lot of ways? Like because he is, kind of inert. He was the primary designer of it, and his brother was schizophrenic, and we have essentially an insane AI. I really, really enjoyed that concept.
Oh, it was Jean-Mi's voice. Never mind.
Oh, okay, sorry. I got you.
Yeah. But Jean-Mi is the superior brother, so.
Yeah, I mean, like at least he's just like, he's a little. I mean, he's a little crazy, and he's like, he's like smearing his poop on the walls and stuff like that. But I mean, like, it's just, but he's got like,
he just so smart. He just saw the nature of things, and it makes you a little weird.
It makes you a little crazy. Yeah, it's true.
I guess,
disassociated, and you're all over the place. But it's because he's a visionary, okay?
Yeah, right. Well, and it's also because it also kind of lends itself to the whole thing where it kind of reveals the fact that like there never really was going to be like a model of Serac's like system of Rehoboam that worked really.
Yeah, Rehoboam. Yeah,
Rehoboam. Sorry, I was like Rihanna. Whatever.
Robohoboam.
Robohobo. Rihanna Bama.
Robohobo.
Yeah, Robohobo.
Rihanna Bama.
Adorable. Yeah.
Thanks, Rihanna Bama.
But why did they keep it around? Like, what's the point of keeping it if they're trying to make it so that it can't escape? Is it just keeping people in these weird cryo state? It's just to like not murder all of those people?
Was it just what I thought or what I ascertained was the fact that it kind of was essentially the same on a much smaller scale, but it was the same thing is in like the Solomon program was essentially keeping they were using it to basically like scramble the minds of all of the outliers and keep them lying in stasis, I think. Maybe I'm completely off the mark.
Like life support?
I don't know.
Kind of. That's what it seems
Because
like.
I think it's a thing now where it's like, oh, they like Rehoboam has decided that, oh, if you kill them, it changes the outline and it fucks everything up. So they have to like just be taken off the board.
Sure.
And so it's just kind of, I'm assuming that, the schizophrenic AI is just running the like matrix system where they're just kind of like laying there.
Yeah. That was my read on was that it was also there to manage and was tethered to all of the outliers that they weren't able to reconfigure. That's what it seemed like to me. I might be wrong. I mean, like I might be off the mark about that. If anyone, let me see what we got. Yeah.
Anyone who knows what's going on, we need help.
I really wish
I can tell you what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to get Maddie.
So Rehoboam is busy like running the world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they kept Solomon as like it like wouldn't stop running projections. So it doesn't have the mirror world and it's not like integral, but it is a backup. And I think also, I think most importantly, like that, like it's voiced by Jean-Mi, so like I think that was Jean-Mi's baby, like more than Rehoboam was. And I think that so he wants to protect his brother, and so he's also protected his brother's AI. Like I think that he has like anthropomorphized Solomon too much.
Yeah,
and is like preserving it.
It's like the last little bit of his brother that he has.
Exactly.
His brother's legacy. It would be very hard to like destroy that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's the one. It's probably the one angle that you can. It's the one kind of chink in Serac's armor. I would probably say, certainly emotionally, just given his story and given everything.
So my question for y'all is: sorry to skip ahead a little bit, but once Dolores gets that EMP, do you think that what do you think is going to happen to all of the cryopods?
I'm wondering, is the end game to wake everybody up and get all the outliers to go ham?
Yep.
Like
they wake up.
I don't know.
And they're like,
clearly it was like a backup.
And they just wander off into the world. And then, so you have an army of like outliers. They probably don't even know that they're outliers. They're like, I don't know. I woke up in a pod.
The last thing they all saw was Aaron Paul, taking them out.
So it's like, they might just be like, oh, that's weird. And then they go off and they outlier it up all at once, all at the same time. Like, that's crazy.
I will say
outliers outliering.
Yeah.
Outliers gonna outlier. Yeah.
I just want to add real quick that with all the Caleb flashback stuff with what's his name?
Kid Cudi?
Whitman? No, I love Kid Cudi, number one.
No, you're talking about not Francis, you're talking
about the other guy. Enrico Colantoni from Veronica Mars.
Yeah, I was gonna say Veronica Mars' dad when they tie him up a lot. That was pretty funny.
The best PI in Neptune.
I know, right? I was about to say. He
created the app Rico, which is funny because his name is Enrico.
Yeah.
And he goes by Rico.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think?
Oh no, it kind of speaks volumes to the fact that because they kind of start to dip their toes into that storyline pretty early on because it's a pretty Caleb heavy episode leading towards this thing. But the reason that we haven't been talking about it is because it kind of ended up not being the most interesting of an element as I think that it could be, which really sucks because I've enjoyed Caleb and I've enjoyed Aaron Paul in the season, by and large, but it did seem like we definitely didn't it was just like they reprogrammed you, dog, and you killed your partner, which we kind of already thought. Like I thought that whole fucking thing could have easily not even have ever taken place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
sure.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like I thought that it was possible, but it just kind of, even though honestly,
it took less flashback than they gave to get us to where we are. So we needed less flashback to understand, and then they just kept going, which is fine. I guess if you're trying to do the whole like a sort of insanity dissociative thing where like a Groundhog Day thing where you show the same thing over and over again, but it slightly changes each time until it's completely different from the first take of it. That's cool. Like when Caleb remembered that it wasn't in Crimea that Francis died, like, so when he thought it was in Crimea, all the writing was in Cyrillic, but when he remembered that it wasn't in Crimea, all of the writing changed to English. And like all sorts of
that was a cool.
So like
if you catch that one.
Yeah, so all of like that was the purpose of the repetition of like showing everything, like how his mind and influence is so easily swayed by the limbic drugs and by just suggestion, sort of like the loop that they've got him in. So he was kind of finding his way to the center of his own maze in the past 2 episodes. However, I think that we could have gotten there. Like, I understand what they were trying to do stylistically. I just don't think it worked, and I think we should have went for like concision over precision.
I think it was there was a brevity is the soul of wit type of a thing. Could have been a thing where it's like I think we spent I'd say a really good hefty about 15 minutes worth of screen time like on that thing, and I think you easily could have done it in about 8.
I think 9. We figured it out last episode when they showed that flashback.
Totally. Oh no! Here I had to shut this one out. This is one of the fun comments from Robert over here. Solomon is a superior brother, but crazy, just like Alec Baldwin.
I don't know that I agree with that, but I like where your head's at.
Oh my god! I'd say that Alec Baldwin is probably is that the best Baldwin? Who's the better Baldwin than Alec?
I am upset that Alec Baldwin didn't verbally abuse his daughter in the year 2020, so we could see his daughter do a TikTok dance to his like abusive voicemail, because that would be
She's
like
the superior Baldwin. That's the answer. She's the superior Baldwin.
Ireland is like, but I love that meme. I've been on the record where that's like my favorite meme. Is like teenagers doing interpretive dance to abusive voicemails that they ever. So, like,
I love it.
Melts my little heart.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's pretty. It's so like because we kind of get this whole thing. We finally get the fucking big reveal with Caleb and Francis and stuff like that, and it was it was what it was. I think that it could have been leaned down a lot, and because you want to know what I would have traded for all of the kind of screen time that we got.
Bernard.
I would have traded it. I would have traded it for some good. I would have traded it for some good Bernard stuff, or like a nice, calm, non-punchy scene of dialogue between Maeve and Dolores.
Yeah, they've only had like 2 conversations the whole show,
and they fought each other more than they have actually like had. I mean, they had that one. There was kind of like a big long conversation when they had her Pearl, and she was talking to. Like when remember when she's like sitting in like
the Connell's Pearl.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I love that conversation so much.
Yeah, and like that was like again like that was the most interesting fucking thing about like some of the most interesting stuff in that episode, and like we just get right to fucking Stabby Town, and that's fine because it was cool, but like but
it was a great fight, but I want those 2 in a room, just like.
I want to
blow all of their arms off and make them sit down and talk to each
other. Well, I'm wondering now that they're both like maybe where their minds go, maybe they can like be in like
other like I didn't think about that.
Maybe they're like robot heavy.
And maybe the cold open will be them in a room talking because they can't punch each other.
A robot lobby. A Robbie lobby.
I really think Caleb just like yeeted her out, and Maeve is going to wake up alone again. However, I really want that, and I hope I'm wrong. I really, really want that.
Yeah, I mean, I would take even just some fucking bull. I would take just give me anything, like just something where it gives them like a couple of minutes to just like hash out and pick each other's brain.
Just stop trying to kill each other for like 20 seconds.
Like just fucking just give me like a Star Wars, like we're circling each other with the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like
like a Force Skype.
Whatever. Like like we're not so different, you and I. Like as they're eyeballing each other. Like whatever. I'll take it at this point, just because. Yeah, robot. Oh, here we go. This will be a good one.
Robot astral projection.
Robot astral projection. I'm with that for sure. But I because I think that where they've kind of always leaned on some of the kind of whiz bang stuff with Maeve, like they're always kind of like sticking her, like, yeah, she's gonna have a Karate Kid Nazi killing training montage, to get up on her fucking on her skills before she has to go take on Dolores, which is a fun idea, but the whole because Maeve is just as, if not more, conflicted about the mission that she's supposed to go on than Charloris is. I mean, then what I mean? Like, and that's been some of the best stuff of the season.
I agree.
The Charlotte Hale, assimilated by Dolores, like, element of the story, and Tessa Thompson's performance has been like the most interesting thing about the season, I think, so far.
Yeah, sorry, Maddie. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I hope that the finale is Maeve and Dolores teaming up to take down Charloris, because even though I want Tessa Thompson to win and everything, I think that I want Dolores and Maeve to like stop fighting and just and like take a moment and just look at each other and be like, we're on the same side. Yeah. So,
or all three of them could join hands and put their hands up like this and make the 3 W's or something like that. Like, that would be fucking great.
Sorry, Morgan, what were you saying?
Yeah, totally. No,
well, I think because as far as like foreshadowing goes, because this show loves a foreshadow, I really think that the William killing all of his selves is basically saying there's going to be one Dolores left.
Yeah.
To rule, one Dolores to rule them all. So I'm like, we can't have Dolores and Charloris. Yeah. I kind of am more interested in Charloris, but it's like, this is Westworld. Like, the story really is Dolores. Well, it's
very possible that Charloris is going to end up. Yeah, I did my YouTube froze for a second, but I just want to say, I think it's very possible. Like, we thought this was going to be the last season. I thought this was going to be the last season.
Yeah.
Then last week we found out it's not going to be last season. It's not going to even be the second to last season. We get 3 more seasons.
Crazy.
I had such a terrible week, and then I found that out, and I just like cried. I was happy cried because I was like, I have so many friends that love this show, and I have so much fun talking about this show, and I've just have so many good memories around the show. Like, even if I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed season 1, like I still love coming together and like being here and like doing the Game of Thrones thing where we just talk the shit out of it until we're so tired of it that we're ready for the next episode. Yeah. So I'm very excited, and I hope that Jonah and Lisa get to end the story the way they want to on their terms.
Yeah.
And but I think that like a lot of people assumed that this would be the last season because we hadn't heard anything, and so a lot of the choices that they're making make a lot of sense to me in that regard. But I'm curious to see like if they had to have picked an ending for the show. Like, that's what we're getting tomorrow.
It seems like I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that the other day, where I'm just like where this is headed. It's kind of like whatever. Like, so say like they kill Serac, and they kind of find.
I hope not. I hope not. I love him.
Well, I know. I think it's a good bet. I think it's good enough to keep around. I think it's just going to be, or at least I hope that they will. But I definitely it feels like the kinetic, melodramatic kind of thrust of the season is kind of like, seems like it's heading towards like a type of an end game that we could kind of back off and be like, okay, we've told the Westworld story now. Like you know what I mean? Like it seems like it has. So it's interesting in the same way that season 3 was interesting, as in like we are in this very new, very fertile ground. We're out in the actual fucking, we're out in the actual world, and we're, and that was the best part about this season, I think. But yeah, I mean, like as far as like where we're headed and stuff, like save that. I don't know. I mean, like, I hope that they keep Charloris around because she's fucking great. You know what I mean?
So however this show ends next week, I think that it'll be very interesting how they pick it up. Because they said that they had like a 5-season plan, because they took a break from making the first season to plot out a 5-season plan or a 6th season. I'm not really sure. So, maybe they get to tell the story they want, and maybe this is all part of the story that they want to tell.
Sure.
However, they definitely needed to be prepared for this to be the final word on Westworld, just in case, kind of like you have to do every season. And so I'm very interested to see, where that leads, because if Dolores does die, there's still a Charloris, but I'm saying that Charloris could very easily spend the rest of the next 3 seasons in Evan Rachel Wood, and then who is the real Dolores anyway?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there, even though it feels like we have no more choices anymore, I think there's still so many choices, and I'm very excited to see what happens.
Well, also
any humans that die, it's it's been established that they've been harvesting the AI and the DNA and the thing.
So I'm hoping for Lee Sizemore to come back. He's my favorite human, and I was so happy. I was so happy to see him in this season because I really didn't think anybody was good. I was like, they're not going to give me Lee.
You're talking about the British writer guy?
Yeah, the British writer guy. I was like, they're not going to give me Lee. They don't love me that much. But then, the day before the episode aired, he posted a TikTok or something with Tessa Thompson. They were dancing in the trailer room, and I was like, he's going to be in this season.
Oh shit!
I enjoyed him so much more.
He was great
this season than when we were introduced to him. I didn't hate him, but I was just kind of he's the playboy.
I had a love-hate thing with him for sure. I was like, I wasn't,
but I loved him this season.
This season, he was
I loved
great.
him from the get. I'm not even gonna say it. I loved him. I was like, you're an asshole, and I love it, and I want you on my screen all the time, so I can hate you, but also love you. And then when they put him with Maeve, I was like, this dynamic is so good that I just want to watch this forever.
And it was also, it had a little touch of melancholy because he's accepted the fact that he's dead and that he is what he is and stuff. And it kind of humbled him a little bit insofar as how he played his
I'm not real. This is awesome.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally.
Very much just like Charloris, where it's Charlotte Hale, I did not give a fuck about.
Mm-hmm.
She just had one mode. She was angry workaholic.
Yeah.
And then it's just but Tessa Thompson, we know what she can do. We know she's a good actress. So it's when she's given meat to chew on, all of a sudden, Charloris is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Where it's it's just give someone, you can just take the same character and actor and just all of a sudden I care about you. And I'm
yeah.
So
I don't want you to die.
So it really feels it's interesting to me. Number one, I have to say it because someone mentioned Enrico Colantoni in the chat. So we've got Rico and Tessa on the show, who are both Veronica Mars veterans, main cast veterans, and I hope they did a hug. I really hope they did a hug.
Welcome to Veronica Mars
Welcome
world.
to my Mars Investigations podcast. But
absolutely.
But I really think that she was sort of playing a one note, but I also think that the Charlotte that Tessa was playing could very easily, she's such an intense character that I think that, and friend of mine, friend of yours, Joanna Robinson, does a podcast, does a couple of podcasts, Decoding Westworld and Still Watching Westworld with Vanity Fair. And on Still Watching Westworld, she interviewed Tessa Thompson, and she was like, how do you square the character you thought you were playing with the character that now you're playing
that you have now.
And she was like, you just make it work. And I forgot what she said, but kind of the gist to me was that, Hale is such an intense person. She's in one lane when she's at work. However, who she is when she steps out of that office, we never see because she's always in the park. So if she's able,
see her in her video to her son,
exactly,
we
Nathan.
saw the real
right,
Hale, and that was some fucking heartbreaking shit.
Maybe we just never got to see her. Maybe she fucking goes hard in the paint for being a mom and and everything like that, and being a committed to her family as she does when she's
And I don't know if that's my belief, but I see a world in which that is possible.
Sure.
And I think sort of Tessa, the way that she played that was, she was I'm going to be in this lane and I'm going to be in this lane. And I'm just going to play a character in which both of those lanes exist.
Totally.
So I think that's very interesting.
That makes it, that's this is a good one from Anne. Was Dolores made her more human,
It's
ironically,
crazy.
in a weird way.
No,
Right.
it's absolutely true. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Which I think was like which was I think the loveliest touch of anything in the episode. So here's an interesting question. We'll go through this and then we'll kind of do like our final thoughts and then we'll sign up. Do you think that Serac will be around long enough to do a completely 180 on how he's viewed the world and how to best help his inhabitants, human and AI? That would be interesting.
I hope so. That would be so cool.
It would be cool. Well, because we ain't getting it from fucking William's ass. We ain't getting it from Will, or at least it seems like we're not. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe we could
I
again.
have a feeling they're going to like. I think human Serac will die in the finale, but they'll leave
Hologram
like
Serac.
a window open for like. Because again, in this world, can you really die when they have your like entire shit uploaded to the cloud? It's like I think because he's such a great character, they would like if they have another season, they're like, okay, we'll kill him in case this is our last season. That's good.
Right.
But like you leave the door open where you can bring that villain back later.
But
He
also is like a plan B, C, D, E, F type of guy.
Yeah,
like he has like 500 plans somewhere.
Right, and also, I mean, like they did the same fucking thing with like but in ways that we didn't even know could be considered with Ford in season 2. We got
Ghost of the Machine. Yes, Ghost of the Machine Serac would be so cool.
We were silly with Anthony Hopkins in the second season, so I don't think that we're necessarily going to. If he dies, and I do think that there is a very good chance that his body is going to, his physical presence is going to die. But I don't think that, regardless of whatever happens, I don't think that we're going to see the last of him for sure. I think that he's also too good. I think he's going to be like Bron.
It's Vincent Cassell, y'all.
Yeah.
How you gonna waste Vincent Cassell? Like,
right.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, like if they couldn't get rid of fucking, Bron, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to get rid of him, and there were a million ways to keep him in this story, other than there was Bron in Game of Thrones. So yeah, I think that's totally something in the cards.
I will say, I hope they sort of bring a bit more, because we do have some dimension to his character, but I think he's so overpowered right now that it's hard to get like a full grasp on him. And we've seen like hints and bits of it, and we're able to like make our own decisions about it.
Sure.
But I want him to be, I don't know if I want him to be less powerful, but I think I want him to be a bit more, like I want us to be more in his head rather than in the head of the people he's interacting with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we haven't really seen him like be conflicted or be vulnerable with somebody.
Exactly.
Really. He's just in a plane, being a hologram, like being a boss bitch. Like
he's kind of just acting. He's kind of just being like a plot actor and not necessarily like he's more of a force than a person right now.
Right. It's almost like he's, in a way, he's kind of very similar to what Charlotte was last seaand maybe we can shade him with a little something.
Let's stick Dolores in a castle. And then maybe he'll get more interesting.
Yeah.
Stop it.
All things are fixed with Dolores.
Stick one of those Dolores pearls in him, and then he'll like sing a song to his son, and that will existed. And
well, there's still one more. We don't know who it is.
That's true.
We know where it is. We know it's in Berlin, but we don't know who it is.
It's got to be Teddy.
I don't think so. He's doing the Sonic movie.
I don't know.
Well, he did do the Sonic movie, but I don't know. Like, what if it's Sonic the Hedgehog? Fuck Teddy. It's just Sonic the Hedgehog shows up.
I'm there. I'm sure there.
Well, like the first design.
Crazy teeth.
God,
the first design Sonic.
Goodbye.
Oh, the perfect. Yo, if that's the case, then we got to kill every last one of these fucking robots, because I don't want a world populated with those weird teeth. Fucking
kill the robots and kill the humans, because I don't want to live in the world.
Yeah, right.
The first one is
100%.
Yeah.
You had mentioned this right before we had gotten on. We'll do this as like a little bit of sign off, and I want to pop this up, and so we maybe get some people in the comments can hit us with some of their suggestions too. What you had said to us before, Maddie. This was Maddie's like little query about a certain Jim Henson creation that we were talking about before.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about this.
Oh, right. No, it's great that you planted it, and then it's like a plot point in WestWorld. You planted the seed, and then it came all the way through to the very end.
I told you the story, and I fed you enough drugs that you believed it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened.
Here, but we're gonna say, like, if you could replace anyone, if you could any character with a Muppet,
everyone except one.
Everyone except one. Who would it be? Well, even if you could just give me, like, I mean, it seems like you've maybe thought about this a little bit, Maddie. Do you got any out there? I know that I got mine right off the top.
I literally thought about it and then didn't, like, I thought about it and then told you. So I really haven't, like, spent enough time on this question.
You considered it?
I just thought about the question and then I was like, I have to know. And then I asked you guys. And then I was like, no, save it for the show.
So here, we got Nick who's saying he wants to replace everybody with animal.
Mm-hmm.
All animals?
All animals, they're all clever.
Animal replace every character except for animal.
Animals the best. Animals.
Yeah.
Well, I already know who I like to me, like a surrogate, like who I would cast them. I'm thinking Bernard and Stubbs is Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
Bernard, even though that's
Stubbs is the Ernie, yeah?
What's that? No, Stubbs.
Yes.
Stubbs has to be the Ernie.
Stubbs is the Ernie.
And Bert would be Bernard. I mean, like, I think that even comes up. And like, they're roommates. They're probably giving each other nice, like, polite hand jobs every day just to take the stress off and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean.
And Dolores is obviously Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
Totally, 100%. I would totally be down with that. Wait, who?
Clementine would be Janice from the Dr. Teeth Band.
Yeah.
Oh,
Electric.
the lanky one with the long hair.
For sure.
Yeah.
Make it be.
Oh, and we also the big like robot, like kind of like riot guy has got to be Sweetums.
Oh,
Yes.
Sweetums.
Sweetums.
Oh, the riot piece, yeah.
Yeah. I could go for that. Get all the electric mayhem in there. What's going on, Brittany? How you doing? Baby? Good to see you. Here we go. This one's good. Stubbs would be Grover.
Stubbs would be Grover. You're right.
Maybe Super Grover.
Super Grover.
Would Aaron Paul be? Would Caleb be Beaker? Who would be Beaker?
He's got the hairline for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
If Stubbs is Grover, I feel like. Wait, who was Arnold himself would be Snuffleupagus to Big Bird's Bernard?
Oh, I can see that.
Is that how it goes? Because he was like.
Yeah, and William William would be Oscar the Grouch.
Nick Setterland said Bernard would be Bunsen.
Actually,
so if I could replace everyone in Westworld with Muppets except for one person, I would probably keep. Wouldn't it be funny to keep Serac?
And then everyone was Muppet.
And everybody's like a fucking
so
Muppet.
cute.
Yes, because he's
That
like
would make a lot of sense.
I would keep William because it would really annoy him.
Yeah.
If he's surrounded with these Muppets going crazy, can you imagine?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
And then he could be like obsessed with a Muppet.
You can literally even just see them, like, you can even see the poster for that movie, like, you know, like everybody, like, you know, in like, and get them all in there. Like, let's do we're going to do Muppets, we're going to do Sesame Street, we're going to do Fraggle Rock. We get them all in there and they're all going crazy. Like, you know, Kermit sitting there like, yay, like whatever. And then like, and you just have Williams just sitting there like this.
I will also say,
Like,
oh my god.
That'd be great.
I will also say that it would be very funny to replace everyone except for Lee Sizemore.
Oh shit!
I mean, that sounds like an actual episode.
Yeah,
that seems like
are you sure?
That's what the show is.
Are you sure? I mean, you see him on social media and on Twitter and stuff. Like, are you sure he hasn't already booked that gig?
Honestly, please, that would be amazing. Like, can you just imagine him like swearing at Muppets in like his British accent for like an hour?
What
Incredible.
the fuck are
Wow.
you fucking doing over there, Oscar the fucking Grouch? Go
I
eat
didn't-
some more trash.
I didn't write that for you. I
Right.
wrote you a different line.
Right,
You're supposed to fall in love with her.
All right, I didn't write that line for you, Snuffleupagus. You're supposed to act like you're on heroin. Now get the fuck out of my face. You
We're
fucking
done.
bitch.
We're done. We did it.
That's it. We did it.
We
Oh
solved
my
it.
God.
Season 3 and 4.
Yeah, we just, you know what?
Everyone is
Right,
Muppets.
lead into it.
Lisa
Right.
Joy, Jonathan Nolan, you're welcome. That's all we're gonna say. Anyway,
Also
You
call
guys-
me.
Also,
wanna say- go
didn't
ahead.
Fraggle Rock aired on HBO, so
did.
they got the rights, I
They
think.
got the rights. They can do it. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
so
Well, they've got
anyway,
Sesame Street. They have all the rights.
What if the final park is Muppet World?
oh, there we go.
They can do
Yay!
it.
Right?
I want to
Oh my
go
God.
where the Muppets are.
Yeah, right. Where are those Muppet pearls, right? Oh my God.
Yes.
Anyway, we want to say we appreciate y'all very much for hanging out with us, and we appreciate you, Miss Maddie K. We appreciate you so much for helping us
Thanks
on
for
something.
hanging out with us.
And we look forward to having you back. You down for next week when the
Yes.
finale? Okay, sick. So we're definitely look
Yes.
out. We're going to be doing WestWorld Wednesdays this time 5:30 Central next week for the finale, and hopefully, if he's on the mend, and I'm sure he will be, we'll have Kyle from Azora High to join us as well for the
My
fucking
homie. I
Four-
love him.
4 square extravaganza
Oh,
is
man.
what we're gonna have.
We'll
And-
have a
and
whole shape. It'll be
Really?
awesome.
the whole thing. And but if anybody wants to know, like, where people can find you on like any projects that you're working on, any podcast or anything, any social media or anything like that, let them know where they can find you, man.
Yeah, so you can follow. I'm most active on Twitter at Maddie K Ray, MADDIEKAYRAY. I'm on Instagram at Maddie K Ray. I'm a cosplayer.
Mhm.
I have a
Fantastic cosplayer. Fantastic.
thank you. I have a Star Wars podcast called Never Tell Me the Pods. I do all of the back end stuff for. We're kind of in a hiatus now, but we've got several hundreds of episodes that are just ready for a good time. We went to Celebration and we sorted every Star Wars character into the jock, nerd, goth, and prep axis. So you should definitely check it out.
I love it.
And yeah, and just like I did a bunch of Star Wars talk on I'm gonna Need More Wine.
Mhm.
With Christina Jocelyn.
I heard some of that.
Con
That
of
was a really
Thrones
great, that was a
friend.
great podcast for
Oh,
sure.
it was such a blast. I think I might be going back for Drag Race. We'll see.
Yeah,
But
All right.
I would love that. So they're fantastic podcasts as well. Check it out. Other than that, I'm just like living these Rona days.
Mhm.
Having add me on Animal Crossing. Like that's what I'm doing.
Maddie, my turnip prices are like over $300 today. So
Right now,
yeah, so I'll open my gates if you want.
please do. I have to
Okay.
add you. We'll do that.
But that's awesome. Yeah, and definitely I mean, that's such a great. Every time that I, and I've listened to Never Tell Me the Pods a bunch of times and stuff like that. It's a great podcast. But every time I just think about that name, I'm like, fuck, that's a good fucking Star Wars.
We really
podcast.
wanted. Now this is podcasting, but someone else took it. So Never Tell Me the Pods was our second choice.
Oh my god! I mean, you're cooking with gas on both of those. But
Absolutely.
we appreciate you so much for hanging out with us, dear. And we look forward to next week. Thank you so much to the Draces, and definitely keep it here for a bunch of the WestWorld content. And also keep your ear to the ground for on Azora Hype's channel. Tentatively, we're scheduled to do like a little thing for them, so keep an eye out for that. But until then, just like hang out with us on all the social medias. Go follow Maddie. Oh wait, what you got, Maddie?
I have one last thing that I completely forgot to. So I have to come clean.
What's up?
I am literally Team Robot. I have a WestWorld pearl with my name on it.
Oh my God.
It.
That's so killer.
Spoiler alert.
But we know which side that Maddie's fighting for.
Yeah.
For this whole thing, 100%. That's amazing. All right. Well, anyway, we appreciate y'all very much. We'll talk to you guys. You got everybody. Stay safe, shelter in place, and we will see y'all here next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Woo!